It's John here, your favorite YouTuber. I wanted to talk today about what I call the myth of the gay community. And the reason I'm talking about this, is because, um, in short, I think that the gay community is both not exactly a thing, and also what does exist of it, ironically, is very unhealthy. But please stay tuned, let me explain what I'm talking about. So, what I want to say is that you have a lot of gay people, right? And they consider themselves part of this LGBT community. As if, like, you come out and you learn how to be yourself by acting like everybody else does, for the most part, in this community. Men learn to be feminine, girls love to be, but at the same time, it's kind of weird because we still play heterosexual relationship dynamics. Usually, have one is like the man, one is like the woman. They still kind of have that biological tendency to be the caretaker as a man or be taken care of as a woman, or they play the opposite gender role in their relationship, whether or not they actually think they are the other gender. And when you get transgenderism, the whole other thing for that, but it's just very interesting. So I'm thinking about this, and I want to say to people that there is no gay community, because if you think about it, what do I have in common? What is homosexuality, first of all? Homosexuality is you are you are sexually attracted to people of the same sex for whatever reason. Um, and the LGBT activists, they say it's innate, it's not based on your upbringing, there's no nurture involved, it's just who you are. And when men act feminine, or when men leave their families in order to live a gay lifestyle, throw away their children, cheat on their wife of many years, these older gay men do this a lot, and then it's celebrated. And I just think it's a little interesting, because um, it's very ironic, because even when, especially this happens a lot with lesbians, when someone thinks they're straight and then they realize somehow that they're gay, or they stop suppressing that part of them that has gay attraction, supposedly, and then they come out and it's like, oh, everything's great now, I'm finally being myself, my life is perfect. And that's the picture they paint for you. But when it's the other way around, when a gay person decides that they are straight, or when they realize they would be happier living as a heterosexual, or in a heterosexual relationship, having kids and whatnot, it's not just frowned upon. It's actually prohibited by law in some ways, because in many states, what we call conversion therapy is outlawed. So any kind of suggestion, or even just mentioning that it's a possibility to lead a heterosexual, lifestyle, or have a heterosexual relationship, is, basically you can get your license taken away in many states. It's the same thing with transgenderism, where if you suggest to the person that is mentally ill and confused and thinks they're the other gender, and they obviously, which they almost always do, and in my opinion, my analysis, I would say, they always do, have other mental health problems going on. Now, if a doctor were to say, like, hey, transition is something that people suggest, it's an option that you could technically take, but there's also other options. You could learn to love yourself and accept your body without thinking that you have to change it and mutilate it. They probably wouldn't use those words, but really mutilate it to become the other gender. But it's actually, from what I understand, in the UK, Canada, and the United States, for the most part, completely illegal. At the least, you're going to be shamed by the rest of the medical and psychological community, which is, you're going to be maybe be fired, be defamed. Even if they don't take your license away, you may never be able to practice again, which is very unfortunate, because it's a double standard. Why is it that if someone does horrible things, throws away their family, decides to live a completely selfish lifestyle, which they can do that, it's a free world, they can do it, but why are we rewarding that and saying that's wonderful and brave and progressive and all this stuff, but if it goes the other way around, no, it's evil, you're forcing the person to be straight. And actually, most people, and I'm not saying that anybody should or shouldn't do what most activists would call conversion therapy, but most people who get what we would call conversion therapy want it. They've been there, done that. It's not for the most part, aside from people who have put their kids in there, it's not people who suspect they might have gay attraction and they're disgusted by it and they want to change themselves. It's mostly people who already been living the gay, I'm going to get to the term the gay lifestyle, but for lack of a better term, I'm going to say the gay lifestyle, for a while, and they realize they're unhappy and it's not suiting them, and they may have some heterosexual attraction, or may have had it at times, and they, and they want to be able to figure out, why do I have this same-sex attraction? Is there other options for me? Healthy options besides just repression or complete acceptance. Because there's some people, some men who are feminine and gay, and they live gay, and they're with a dude for 20 years, and then I've seen interviews and stuff, and then they realize, sometimes through religion, but it's not always through religion, but they realize that they don't want to live that lifestyle, and maybe they never really wanted to. And when I say lifestyle, I'm talking about going to the clubs all the time, being promiscuous, very often cheating. You just look at the gay parades, it's basically just a sexual display. And there's nothing wrong with that, I'm no prude. But what does the gay parade, or the LGBT pride parade as they call it, have anything to do with having same-sex attraction? Leather kinks, age gap relationships, other fetishes, furries, non-binary, emo kids with pink hair, SJWs, political ideologies. None of this has anything to do with being attracted to men if you're a man, or a woman if you're a woman. It's nothing to do with it. So this is why I'm saying the LGBT community does not exist, because it's not really a thing that occurs naturally. It's a thing that occurs almost politically. Back in the day, there was some homosexuals who would come together trying to lobby for, more public acceptance and freedoms and stuff like that. But I don't see how supporting people, cheating on their wives, supporting people becoming gay. Not that we really, there's a lot to it. People not all gay people just, up and become gay, but there are people who identify as heterosexual and at some point start identifying as gay, and vice versa, without actually having known or thought that they were the other orientation beforehand. So my point is, why should we celebrate becoming gay, so to speak, and not becoming straight? It's always a double standard, It's like, if about the gay lifestyle, right? Not all gay people live a drug-infested party life, but it is extremely common, and it is also extremely common that gay and transgender people have had, even before they came out, usually before they came out especially, sexual abuse, physical abuse, coming from one-parent households, usually single mothers, and nothing against the single mothers. They work hard, they do the best they can. Most of them are pretty damn great, but I'm just saying, it's not the best situation. And it's one thing why I hesitate to have kids, being that I'm in a gay relationship. If you were new to my channel, you might have been surprised about that, because I'm not just praising everything gay, but I am gay. But I want kids, but I don't know if it's the best thing for the child, because, really looking into it, having two dads is probably better than having a mom and an abusive dad, or dad and an abusive mom, or having no parents, or just living your entire life through the system. I would agree with that argument that some people make. However, I just don't know. They need both a masculine and a feminine influence. My husband's relatively feminine acting and stuff, but he's still a dude, So, so basically my position is, and what I want to communicate to you guys is, if you're gay, that's fine. But it's not inherently good, it's not inherently bad. We need to stop celebrating gayness as a thing, or celebrating a bunch of other stuff that has nothing to do with being gay, You know, I mean, it's literally the equivalent of acting like gangster life, and you know, and not getting married when you have kids is innate characteristic of being black. I mean, that would be racist to say so, but many people do act like that. Many SJWs and liberals act like that, and they do it in a way where they're trying to feel sorry for the people. Oh, they have no choice, but they still paint an entire group of people as living the same way, and they paint all gay people as living the same way. Some of it is kind of a simulation. Like, we're not all going to leather parties and sleeping with 80-year-old men and all this creepy stuff. But, there is a lot of weird stuff that goes on. And it's because we're told that is part of it. It's what we end up being around, because you go to the clubs or the parades or whatever, and you see all this crazy stuff, and you think that that is part of you and part of being gay. Well, and this is why I would say there's no such thing as a gay community, and there's no such thing as a gay identity, or even a LGBT or any kind of, whatever they call it, queer identity. Queer is not really a thing. Queer is like the equivalent of saying black and brown or people of color. You're just trying to group everybody that's not the majority group. Scams. Everybody that's not the majority group into one thing and say, oh, well, they're all queer. No, I'm not queer. I don't have anything in common except for, with transgender people, except for we often have similar childhood issues and upbringings that lead us, and mental issues that lead us to developing what we've developed. Although I wouldn't say it's the same thing, because having same-sex attraction is natural in some way, whether or not people flip-flop, because they do one way or the other in some cases. But changing your body and cutting up your genitals and taking man-made medicines and hormones is not natural. It's not. I'm not saying everything has to be natural, but it's nothing to do with science. It's nothing to do with the way anybody would live in nature. It's nothing to do with the way animals live. Like, they try to point to these studies. Oh, well, there was a chicken, the rooster that fucked another rooster, or there was a family of chickens and the rooster died, and so the hen started doing the role of the rooster and trying to crow. Yeah, but that's not transgenderism. Like, humans, if a woman does not have a husband and she's raising kids, very often she will work, clean the house, raise the kids, try to play a guidance role as best she can in both a motherly and a fatherly way. That's not transgenderism. That's, when you see that in animals and they try to compare that to being transsexual, it's not the same thing even remotely. That is, animals doing different behaviors based on necessity. There's no necessity for you to, dress as a female and act like one and insist that you are one and then destroy your whole body in order to prove to the world that you are a woman. Well, you're not going to prove anything to anybody. You're going to have people who want to be a nice person, or who consider you a friend, so they'll call you that. They might even say, yeah, you do seem like a woman. That's fine. But really, when it comes down to it, and I've read tons about transgenderism from different points of view. I've known many, many transgender people personally, and I'm kind of going all over the place. But my point is, whether it's transgenderism, homosexuality, there's no, aside from potentially having similar things that lead us to be this way, there's nothing that really makes us a community. I most likely have pretty different interests from your average your average person, because I'm weird and I spend all my time studying foreign languages. Now, I have a friend who also I have a couple friends who are straight guys, and, well, one of them might not be completely straight. Anyway, but I have a couple of friends, and, and they're guys, and, one or two of them are straight, and they're obsessed with languages like me, and we have a similar sense of humor, and, but it has nothing to do with our sexuality. Now, and then I meet tons of gay guys that don't like me because they see that I don't act like a complete stereotype anymore, and they say, oh, you're not being yourself, you're not being gay, you think you're straight. And I'm done with that, because I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm done trying to act a certain way or another based on anybody else's expectations. But it still does bother me, because I do find myself behaving a little bit differently around different people, because I know what they're either expecting or how they're going to respond, or at least I feel, or I think, based on experience, that they will respond a certain way if I act with certain mannerisms or another. Now, me on YouTube, y'all get mostly genuine me. I don't play a character or anything, but I do speak pretty emphatically and just kind of joke around, be silly. But I mean, I like to joke around anyway. It's not a bad thing. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna kind of wrap this up because I've been rambling for 15 minutes. But basically, what I want to say, if you're watching this and you are straight or whatever, or gay, whatever you are, and you know someone else who is LGBT of some sort, and don't put things in their head, don't tell them they're brave, don't validate or invalidate whatever it is. Let them think what they think. Don't tell them they're a hero, they're brave, they're amazing. No, they're a fucking person who likes to, have some dick if they're a guy. I mean, that's basically what it is. Sorry to be vulgar, but I'm being real. Being a dude that likes dick does not make you brave. It doesn't make you no one's hero. This is not, the only case that I would see how it's brave is if you live in ISIS territory and you come out as proudly gay and go around cross-dressing. Well, you're probably going to get killed, so I guess you're pretty brave to do that. Yeah, but if you're watching in that scenario, don't come out yet, please. Escape to a better country or something, because don't get yourself killed. But let's quit doing all this you're brave shit, and oh, this is you and this isn't you shit. Don't ever tell anybody, oh, that's not you, oh, you're gay, you can't do that. I mean, how is that acceptance to people who claim to be pro-gay? Like, oh, okay, so I'm gay, so you're for me, and then you tell me what I can and cannot do and what I am and am not capable of doing. You tell me that you cite some study and say, oh, well, there's a study that, that gay men and straight women have the same brains, which is not true. It's like one study that keeps getting quoted, and it does not actually indicate that. It's a lot more complex than that, and the implications were not that great. And also it didn't take anything into account, like, were these feminine gay men? Does your behavior and the way you think about yourself change the way your brain is functioning? And if that was the case, like, they try to make that same argument about transgenderism. Well, then they could just scan anybody's brain, or like, oh, excuse me, sir, I'm scanning your brain, checking for aneurysms, but did you know that you were gay or a transsexual? Like, that's that's not a thing. There would literally be a brain scan to tell if you're gay if that was a thing. But even then, if you look into the studies I'm pretty sure it's only one, it doesn't really indicate that. But yeah, so don't sit here and tell a man that he's basically a woman. Because especially if he's a child or a young man, you're going to put that in his head. He may end up becoming a woman, or trying to become a woman, out of like a coping mechanism. Because I've watched a lot of and read a lot of things from detransitioners, people who thought they were women, did all this surgery to try to be a woman, lived as such for years, thought it was them, and then years later they realized, oh my god, what have I done to myself? And even with a synthetic vagina, mutilated genitals, they go back to being a man and are way happier, even though they've gone past the point of no return. And like, these people will look back and say, like, when I was little, I would put on my sister's clothes, I would put on my mom's shoes, I would wear a towel on my head like it was my hair. And I mean, what boy has not done something like that? Even the most macho straight dude, just joking around. I mean, I didn't cross-dress or anything when I was little, but I would put like a towel hat on my head and joke around about it, act like I'm copy the girls in that way to be funny. So don't tell him he's pretty, don't tell him he's feminine, don't say you should have been a girl, don't tell him you thought you were going to have a girl and you were surprised it was a boy, or you were hoping for a girl and put in his head that you're a girl and all that shit. Because then, like, I saw one who transitioned, was like a hooker and a drug addict for years because he just couldn't handle it. He goes back to being a man. And, he was kind of feminine. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know if it was from all the years of conditioning or that was just his personality. He was still kind of feminine after going back to being a man, but he definitely wasn't a woman. And he said, everybody told me, oh, you should have been a girl. You should be a girl. You should be a girl. And he said, hold on, there's a damn siren. And he eventually said, you're right. I should probably put on my seatbelt. He eventually said, like, in his subconscious, like, you know what, you're fine, you're right. Like, I won't be a man, I'll be a woman. I'm just a woman now. And he transitioned. And he looks back and he realized he was just so angry on the inside about not being accepted as a man, or accepted or treated like a boy from such a young age, that he eventually was like, fine, it's damaging to a little boy to be treated like a girl. You know, even when you're joking around, it really is psychologically damaging. It's cognitive dissonance, and it's gonna fuck him up in the head. And if he's still being a dude and he's just gay, you know, like, don't treat him like, no man wants to be, you know, emasculated. It's very unpleasant. Nobody wants to be treated like excuse my language, like a pussy, like a wuss, like he's not strong enough or tough enough, like he can't protect his family, like he can't, you know, hang out with other guys without it being a sex date. Like, no, in my humble opinion, you know, I really think deep down, no gay guy, every gay guy just wants to be, you know, fulfill his biological and psychological needs as a young, or, well, in my case, as a young man, but as a man, you know, like, and I'll reiterate what I've said in other videos, it's not about being macho and having to have the same personality. But when you go from saying, okay, a guy does not have to be macho, does not have to be straight, blah, blah, that's okay, right? He doesn't have to. But then you go to the 360, or 360, the 180. You go from 180, you go from dysfunction on some level to even worse dysfunction, because then you're telling, you know, young men that it's, you know, better to be gay. I mean, that's kind of what you're saying when you say, oh, you're so brave, it's so wonderful, I'm so proud of you. I mean, pride. What are we proud of? That we like penis? What's so proud about that? I don't personally think it's a bad thing, but I don't think it's a good thing. There's nothing to be proud of. It just is what it is. And if we really believe that it is purely, which I'm mixed feelings about this, but if we really believe that it's purely based on biology and you're born gay, I really think nurture has a lot to do with it. But if that's the case, if we want to say that's the case, well, then that's just a normal part of human life, or, you know, life on Earth. Some are into the same sex. You know, so if that's what, you know, the left and the SJWs and the LGBT activists, they all are kind of in the same mentality, and they really contradict themselves all the time. They say, oh, it's biology, it's the way we're born, but then they say, you can't change it, but then when someone changes it from straight to gay, then that's amazing and wonderful. And they say it's just an innate part of human life, but then they say, you know, oh, it's so great and brave and wonderful and special, when it's not. If it really is just a biological component of human existence, then it just is a biological component of human existence, rather than some special thing or something to be happy or proud of. And then, you know, with the transgenderism, they say gender is a social construct, so a man can basically live and act like a woman. Okay, well, that's fine if you were just arguing that some men wanted to look and act like women and dress like them, and they want to do that. Okay, I don't think it's particularly mentally good for you, but if they want, I'm not going to tell them they can't do that. Freedom of, you know, free country, free world, right? You know, but they say that, and then they say, oh, my soul is female. Oh, she is a woman. She's more of a woman than a real woman. They say it all the time. Trans women are women. She's more of a woman than a real woman. I'm more woman than you'll ever be. Bitch, you're not more woman. It's one thing to argue that even that it's kind of iffy to even say that you're a woman in the first place. Even if I want to agree with that, don't sit here and say you're more than of a woman than women who are actual women. You know, and don't contradict yourself when you say you're just able to live as a female because gender is just sociologically created, even though it's not. But it, you know, if you're gonna make that claim, make that claim. Don't make that claim and then say, oh, well, I was born this way, I can't help it, I have to, my parents have to give me hormones and cut off my breasts, I have to be a boy or I will kill myself. Don't say that shit. I mean, do you know how much of a mindfuck that is to your parents? It's a whole other video, guys. You know how much of a mindfuck that is to your parents who love you and would do anything for you? I mean, to the point where they'll take you to go get your tits cut off because you think you're a boy, allow you to destroy your body. I mean, I think it's reprehensible, but I can see where the parents come from, especially when you and the doctors are sitting there saying, you know, holding your life by a thread. Oh, okay, this is my life. If you don't do exactly what I want, I'm gonna let go. I'll be gone. You won't have me in your life anymore. I'll run away or I'll kill myself. What the fuck kind of manipulative, narcissistic ass bullshit is that? Don't do that shit. If you into dudes, or if you want to cross-dress, do what you want to do. I don't give a fuck. But don't sit here and manipulate people and be a psychotic narcissist. Don't sit here and make quasi-spiritual arguments on top of quasi-fucking scientific arguments to try to make the point that it's better to be this or that, which is the, you know, definition of prejudice. And it's the same thing they do with race. It's the same thing the left does with race, talking about, it's, oh, well, we don't want to be racist against black people. So instead, let's riot and beat up random white people. Let's abuse elderly white people in restaurants in New York. Let's call people crackers and white bitches and make fun of them all day. Oh, because we're not racist against black people. Because apparently, in order to not hate black people, you have to hate white people. And in order to not, be anti-gay, you have to think that gay is inherently good and wonderful and everybody should try it. But once you cross that line into gayness, you can't go back, because if you go back, you hate yourself and you are a bad person and you don't like gays and you are just self-loathing and you're living a lie. Well, you know who's living a lie? The people who are telling other people what they can and cannot do. The people who are running around talking with a lisp without having a speech impediment, and and acting like fucking Jack from Will and Grace. I mean, there might be a small handful of dudes that naturally have the tendency to act like that and have that sense of humor. That's fine, but it's really, it's like the pod people, guys. It's like the fucking Attack of the Clones. Like, what are we? Are we all the fucking same? That doesn't make any damn sense. Like, even straight, even when you see a bunch of straight white girls with blonde hair, and we assume they're all the same. If you actually get to know them, they have pretty distinct personalities. But that doesn't really happen with gay dudes. It's like you just see the same person over and over in different bodies. That was a good rant, guys. I had to get that out. And I think I'm probably the only person on YouTube. I don't know if it's because of censorship or because nobody else agrees with me, or because everybody's too damn scared to say what they actually think. I'm probably the only person on YouTube who says this, but I don't think I'm the only person who thinks it. If you agree, let me know down below. Give me your story if you feel the need to do so. If you disagree, if you think I'm self-loathing and I hate gays, then let me know why down below. Be prepared with a real argument, guys. And I would like to get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you're watching and you like me or hate me and you just want to be able to see all my videos and talk shit, I don't care either way. I'm here to have a good debate. I'm here to have my opinion out there. I'm here to help other people put their opinion out there. This is all about free speech, guys. So please give me a subscribe down below. Hit the bell if you want to see my videos and my lives. I stream usually every Sunday, like maybe between 9 and midnight Eastern time. Really depends, because my life is crazy. And hit me a like. I really appreciate it, guys, and I will see you soon.